You find a place to rent, you sign the lease, maybe you expect to live there for years to come. But one section of the lease could change everything. It might be fixed term.
The primary problem with this type of lease is the fact that there's no security for the tenant. They are given their particular dates, they are given a start and an end, and there is no obligation on the part of the landlord to continue housing anyone past that point.
Unlike a periodic lease, a fixed-term lease doesn't automatically renew. This means you must leave at the end unless your landlord gives you written consent to stay. This has come into focus as one of the top tenancy issues in Nova Scotia. The province just extended its 5% rent cap, but many people are saying the fixed-term lease is a loophole.
It just seems like a deliberate move at this point to create this loophole.
By extending this fundamentally useless rent cap, not closing the fixed term lease loophole and making evictions easier, we're heading into more housing insecurity in the face of the housing crisis that we're already in.
But why would an end date on a lease make the rent cap useless? In Nova Scotia, rent control is tied to the tenant, not the rental unit. So when a fixed-term lease is up and the existing tenant moves out, there's no limit on the new rental price for the new tenant. That being said, if the same tenant stays in the same unit and signs a new lease, they are covered under the cap. But tenant groups say that's not what's happening.
It encourages this cycle of turfing out tenants and upping the rent every single time they do so.
But landlords say otherwise.
There's a purpose for fixed-term leases, and they house thousands of Nova Scotians, and they're a vital part of the rental market.
Russell says many landlords use fixed-term leases as a trial period for students, newcomers with no references, or people with poor credit, meaning they might not take a chance on these tenants without a fixed-term lease. He says some people also want this type of lease, like if they're only in town for a short period of time. The minister in charge agrees.
I've been very clear. I support the appropriate use of fixed-term leases. There's a time and place for fixed-term leases.
LeBlanc says he's heard of people using these leases with bad intentions, but his department has no data to track their use, which many say is a problem.
I think it could be one of those situations where you just kind of cover your eyes and don't want to know the truth. And the truth is grim. The truth is grim for people in this province who rent.
Groups representing tenants are calling for rent control to be tied to the rental unit, not the person living there. They also want fixed-term leases to be regulated or to automatically renew. Some landlords say this will lead them to sell their properties and make problems in the rental market worse. Other provinces have bridged this gap, but so far Nova Scotia is choosing to stick with the status quo. Nicola, Seguin, CBC News, Halifax.